Hey guys, welcome back to JJ's Football Corner. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you guys are doing well. Well, the World Cup is over and it's back to regular programming. And for me, that's basically watching the Premier League. So I thought what would be a fun activity to do would be to kind of look at the different Premier League teams, their transfers, and possibly where they will place in the upcoming season. And so I'm going to start alphabetically, but not going to start with AFC Bournemouth. I'm going to start from the bottom and then work my way to the top, going through the 20 teams, as we go up towards the beginning of the Premier League season, which should be sometime in August. So first up we have Spurs, right? Tottenham Hotspur. And I'm using transfer market here to kind of go through what transfers they brought in this season. But first to speak a little bit about Spurs. Last season, well, the last two seasons they actually finished 17th. And it's been a disappointment for the Spurs side. To be fair to them, they've been plagued with a lot of injuries. Uh, you know, but last season was really, really, really bad. And they got a lot of managerial decisions wrong. They did win the Europa League the previous season under Ange Postecoglou. And I thought that they shouldn't have sacked him. I understand why, because at the end of the day, he did finish 17th. The football was very, very bad. But sometimes there's a thing with feel good factor. You just won a European competition. Players were coming back from injury. I just thought, hey, maybe, support the guy. They brought in Thomas Frank, who I don't want to say Thomas Frank was out of his depth, because that would be an insult to the man. I just thought the stars were not aligned for Thomas Frank, right? And any Spurs fan tuning in, they can correct me, come in the comment section, Spurs fans. Let me know what you guys think, what you guys thought about last season and how it played out. But you got Deserbi in towards the end of the season, and he actually saved you guys. He really did. He really came in and did a good job there. So 26-27 season started off with a bang of a transfer window for Tottenham Hotspur here. They brought in Sandro Tonali for a whopping, and this is in euros. Okay, this is in euros. They brought in Sandro Tonali for a whopping 108 million. Now, there is some debate as to whether or not he's worth that sort of money. Again, it's I have a problem with the transfer fees. This summer, I think, especially I saw Rodgers go for 117 million. I think these transfer fees are a bit too much. But Tonali is a very good player. He's 26 years old. He's somebody that's gonna be a stalwart for Spurs. He's a maverick, right? So he's gonna definitely shore up what's going on there. They bought Mateus Fernandez, 99 million euros. I don't know if I can change it to pounds. Next time I'll try and see if I can get that setting toggled. Mateus Fernandez, again, a player who been relegated twice. I don't think he's worth 99 million. There's a lot of untapped potential there for Mateus Fernandez. So there is a possibility that he could very well live up to expectations. But I mean, that's a lot of money, man. John Paul Van Heck. Actually, for Van Heck, actually wanted Liverpool to go for Van Heck. I know we bought in Jeremy Jacquet, however it's pronounced. Forgive me for butchering your name. But Van Dijk isn't getting any older. Leone is, an unknown quantity. So, I thought that Liverpool could have went in for Van Heck. Bought for 60 million euros. I think that's a fair price for Van Heck's ability on the ball. It was very good for Brian. I think that's a fair price. Senesi, free transfer there. Good backup centre back. Again, Andrew Robertson, my player, one of my favorite players to ever play for Liverpool. He's moving on a free transfer as well. So they got in somebody who is a leader, somebody who can galvanize the team, and I think that's been kind of missing from Spurs. No disrespect to Romero. I think Romero is a a great player, great defender. We saw what he did for Argentina, but is his heart in there for Spurs? I don't know. I don't think so. Again, I'm not knocking the guy. That's what I think. This is just my opinion. I'm just some guy. Next up we have Dubravka. Not a fan of Dubravka. Wow, Dubravka is 37. I didn't know it was that old. I thought Dubravka was about maybe 31, 32. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of Dubravka. Decent backup goalkeeper, I guess. I don't know these guys, Wilk, Langshire, and I know Voskovic was sold to. Who bought Voskovic again? I'm gonna see it. I'm gonna go down. Mikey Moore, Manor Solomon, Alfie Devine, Kota Takai, Alejo Velez, Min Hyuk Yang. So I don't know any of these players. I'm not gonna pretend as if I've watched these players. I'm gonna speak on who I know. Okay. So in terms of who they sold, so Voskovic, they sold him to Brighton for 54 million euros. That's kind of like basically a swap between Van Dijk and Voskovic there. Okay, so the Vélez guy went to EC Bahia in Serie A in Brazil. Alfred Devine, Preston, Raghu Dragusin went on loan to Fiorentina. I think Dragusin just never worked out here. I don't think he settled. Bissouma. Oh man, I remember when Spurs bought Bissouma. I thought Bissouma would have been a linchpin in that midfield. I was so disappointed with how Bissouma turned out. I thought it would have been better, but didn't work out there. Randall Colomoan is another one that's just there, didn't work out. And Palhinha went to Munich, right? Went back to Munich. Okay, so that's basically the list of transfers there. So right, hold on. Right, let's expand this here. Right, so Spurs, we went through the list of transfers. I think Spurs made some decent transfers. I think Spurs will do well this season. I think with De Zerbi as their manager, they've assembled a decent squad. I think James Maddison will be coming back. Kulusevski will be coming back. And, I think they have a decent squad. I do believe that they need a striker because I'm not exactly sold on Dominic Solanke. I think, again, Spurs fan, get in the comment section. Let me know what you guys think of your squad. Let me know what you guys think of the transfers. I'm not sold on Dominic Solanke. When he was at Liverpool, I wasn't sold on him then. And, I don't think he's bad per se, but I think for what Spurs want to accomplish, I think they need a more prolific striker. That's my opinion. And do I want to say no? Because I plan on doing a prediction video on where I think each team will place. So I don't want to give away too much now. But I do think Spurs will finish in the top 10. Let me say that. I think Spurs will finish definitely in the top 10. I think with De Zerbi, with the players that you have, with the way you ended the season on a more positive note, and you guys spending money, I think a top 10 finish is on the card for you. And I think anything less than even top 6 or 7 would, I wouldn't necessarily say it's a failure, but it would definitely be a disappointment to Spurs fans. So again, Spurs fans or any other fans, let me know what you guys think. Get in the comment section, like, share, subscribe, guys. I have 30 subscribers. I want to get to 50 subscribers by the end of August. Let's make this possible, guys. Let's make this possible. Remember, like, share, subscribe, leave comments. Let's go. So next up would be Sunderland. So I'm going to look at Sunderland maybe tomorrow. And we'll talk some more. Sunderland fans, look out for that video. Alright guys, take care.